What's going on? It is, what is it? Monday Night Football. Rum, bada, bum, bada, bum. I don't know. Is that the noise it makes? I'm from a different childhood where we had Hank Williams Jr. on Monday Night Football. New guy. What's up, new guy? My name's James, better known as Degenerate75. I'm a DFS content creator who is here to help you get a little bit better at DFS. That stands for Daily Fantasy Sports, which is, like DraftKings and FanDuel. If you're a slapdick that plays on FanDuel, I'm here to help you without giving you any picks or core plays or any of that nonsense. There's a million people out there that do it. Go watch those fuckers. I don't care. What I'm here to help you do is help you a little bit with the process. I've been doing it a long time, and I've had some good success. If you find you like the cut of my jib, come check out that schedule. I do this show every Monday and Thursday. Also do my live stream Saturday night. Also do college football. I also do PGA, kind of a try-hard. And yes, NASCAR is coming in February. Don't forget, I have my preview show tomorrow on my channel. Tambo will be over here with me. We will be previewing week 9. I'm sure we'll be talking about Tambo winning, I believe, how much? $9 bajillion yesterday. Good for him. We'll be breaking down the slate. I love to get the ideas rumbling around in my head on a Tuesday, and then by Saturday night, I'm like, yes, I still like that take, but this one's stupid. Let's move on. You're also going to want to know, I do a lot of giveaways, right? If you want to build tickets with me, just simply hit the like button at the end. I'll draw from the chat, ask up to 2 questions in the chat. I will get to them. And if you win, we'll build a ticket together. I'll split the profits with you 50-50. And last time I checked, there's a lot of money to be won, right? I believe first place tonight is $500,000. I believe half of $500,000 is $250,000, which a great mathematician once said is a lot of money. Hit that like button every 50 likes. We'll do it. Let's get over to contest selection, which is the first place you're blowing money. I will just continue to say the new rules for all the new guys, all right? Are the same rules for all the new guys. The biggest thing I can tell you is this. First, get into contests that you can max enter, right? So if you're going to go get in a 20 max, don't put 3 in it. If you only have 3 lineups you like, go put it in a 3 max or go put it in 3 single entries. Don't enter contests you're not going to max enter, okay? If you're doing your $100 single entry or whatever you do and you're afraid that it might be the nuts and you don't want to miss out, okay, well, go toss the 1 into the big lottery, right? I get that. I really do. But, if you're just taking, 3 lineups and just throwing them in the big lottery and hoping, that, just know you're one of those people. You're 99.9% of people that do that are going to lose at DraftKings in the long run. So I'm just telling you, if you want to make your money more sustainable, get in contests that you can max enter. Okay, there's so many good contests. What is this $10 one right here? No, that's the 150 max. The $33, I believe it's 150 max, but here's a $3 20 max. Here's the $5 150. Man, they got a lot of 150s, but let's just look at a reasonable one. A $15 single entry, man. Look how good this contest is, right? It checks every single box. First of all, less than 5,000 people, which for me is important. You'd be amazed when you play in contests with fewer than 5,000 people, how much more frequently you get a good sweat, how much more frequently when you hit a good lineup, you get a good ROI. That stands for return on investment. And just check this out, 50,000 prize pool. So 10% of the prize pool goes to first, second is half of first, and 10th place is 1/10. I mean, that's as good as it gets, right? So if you're wanting to play $15 tonight, you would be better probably just doing this one single entry. It's such a better use of your money, right? Yes. And in any given GPP, 80% of the time, 85% of the time, you're not going to cash. But you're playing it over the long run. You're playing it over the course of an entire season, right? So think of it like that way. Budget your money and be smart. That's contest selection. That's the first place you're dicking off all your money. You keep dreaming of hitting all these big ones, and I get it. I had 2 of my members yesterday hit $100,000. They did. That's awesome for them, right? But they also had enough bankroll that they could sustain to play in those kind of tournaments. They're also not those guys that are bitching about, I always lose at DraftKings. Well, they don't, and so they can afford to play in those contests. But if you're one of those people that's a deposit king, well, then that's the first thing you need to do. Hey, I'm trying to get more into NFL props. They've been hitting. We're at about 68% so far, just in about, what was it? I've done about 20 of them I've released so far. And here's some that I like tonight, right? I use a combination of things. I have my sweaty tryhard team who does props, but then I also am using the prop sniper over at Run the Sims, which if you use my code DGen75, you can get access to it, and they will show you the books that are paying the best on all of these lines, right? Because it's a good thing to get plus EV bets, but it's also the biggest plus EV is to get the best possible payout on that, right? The least amount of juice that you have to pay. So the first one I like is it's the day before Halloween, so you know Michael Myers is going to eat tonight. Over 2.5 receptions. He is a guy that has been trending upward and upward and upward in this Raiders offense. He is getting the lion's share of the tight end work, and he is likely to be in a good game script. Over 2.5 receptions seems like the best bet on the board. There's multiple books where you can get this at like minus 105. The next one, Jameson Williams is a guy that is just getting those high-value targets. He is getting those down-the-field targets, and we know that this game is probably likely to have some down-the-field targets. It is at Ford Field, which I believe there's a rule that you have to throw at least 25 passes down the field. Jameson Williams just needs one of those catches, and he's there. Over 26.5 receiving yards for a guy that is trending up. The Lions have not given up on him. They gave up a lot of draft equity. They're going to try to get him going. I truly believe he will get the over on the 26.5 passing yards. And the last one, Jahmyr Gibbs, the absolute smash play of the night because DraftKings didn't price him right, but I still like his over 70 rushing yards. I think he's game script proof. With David Montgomery out, I think if they get ahead, he's going to run the ball. I think if it's competitive, he's going to run the ball. And hell, even if he's behind, he's still going to run the ball. And that guy's electric. He doesn't even need more than probably 12 touches to get the over on those 70 rushing yards. Those are the three props I will be betting tonight. Feel free to join along. We've been doing well at them so far. I think we literally hit every single one this weekend other than the Lamar rushing yards. He's decided he's a pocket pass. He's freaking Tom Brady now, okay? If you want to get better at DFS, man, you got to go check out the solver. Optimizers are the way of the future. Projections are the way of the future. You've got to be embracing them. You need somebody you can trust their projections. You see it right there, Degenerate 75. My projections are in there. Oh, yeah, and you need them to help you make the best version of your lineup. I'm telling you, this is the best way to do it. If you want to get my projections, you want to get my ownership, and you want to have an optimizer that will build the best version of your player pool, you got to use the solver. When you sign up, just make sure you use that little Showdown, Hoedown symbol right there, and you can get it for as cheap as $25 a month for one sport or $50 for all the sports, and that comes with my projections, my ownership, and the solver all for that price. Just make sure you use that Showdown Hoedown symbol. All right, let's use the Rosetta Stone. This is what I have for all my members over at djn75.com, where you can see we break down everything. Yes, this is the nerfed out version for YouTube, but you can see I got the fancy one that has everything over here, but you don't get that here, okay? The first thing I think we want to notice is we have a relatively high total, which is no surprise because, as we know, Ford Field is basically the Coors Field of the NFL. The game just seemed to shoot out here. Detroit has a very efficient offense, and for whatever reason, they just refuse to play defense, okay? So the total tonight, 46.5, a pretty high total. We do not have to worry about conditions as the game is obviously inside of a dome. So that is my first big takeaway. The second big takeaway I have is the Detroit Lions are favored by over a touchdown. The current line right now is 7.5. And anytime you see a 7.5 point line, you always know at Showdown that the majority of lineups are going to build towards the favorite, right? We saw this just last Monday with the Vikings and the 49ers. So remember, right there off the bat, if you're a person who likes to build your Showdown lineups contrarian, the first thing you can do is stay away from 4-2 Detroit builds or 3-3 Detroit builds or 3-3 builds with a Detroit at the captain. That's the first thing you can do. And right there, that will already have you building very differently. Even if you're choosing chalky players, at least you're choosing chalky players in a build that's different than the majority of the field. Also, 5-1 Detroit builds are probably going to be pretty popular tonight. So, a lot of times we build 5-1s, meaning 5 Lions and 1 Raider to try to be different. But I think you're going to be surprised at how frequently that combination is used tonight, as Detroit, there is a good chance, could boat race the Raiders, because I wrote down a little note about the Raiders. They are really, really bad. See, I wrote it down right there. The other thing you can do is just simply this. Just lean into the contrarian lifestyle. I don't know if you want to be that guy that chooses, picks and chooses. I typically just love a good contrarian build on Showdown lineups because in the NFL, how many times do I got to say this? The difference between the best team in the NFL and the worst team is this much. And the difference between these two teams is like this much. So, I would say something like 40% of the time the Raiders are going to make this game super competitive or win this game. So with that in mind, a 4-2 Raiders build right there is a way to get different. If you want to get different, consider a 5-1 Raiders build. Now, let's get into that. Let's talk injuries, and then we'll go break down the plays. Obviously, the big injury news tonight is David Montgomery is out for the Lions. So we already have seen what this happened. He was out the last time the Lions played, and we saw Jahmyr Gibbs just go absolute ape shit. Craig Reynolds obviously gets a big boost when David Montgomery is out. And the other big news that we are still waiting on, I think we'll go all the way up until game time, is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is questionable, and I think it's about 50-50, probably leaning a little bit more towards he plays. We have him with projections right now, but man, if he's out, that really changes things. Or if he's limited, I think that really changes things, right? So that's just something we're going to have to wait out till tonight. If you're over on my Discord, we will be doing the 6 o'clock stream when we get those actives or the inactives before the game, so you're going to want to be watching that, bro. By the way, all you new guys that have hopped in here, up to over 100 people, make sure you're hitting that like. I want to see 100 likes so that we can get 2 drawings in. So those are the 2 big – oh, and one more piece of injury news. Daniel Carlson, the kicker, is actually questionable, right? So I know we never worry about injuries when it comes to, like, kickers, but, like, there is an actual one to watch tonight. So be checking out Daniel Carlson, all right? Because if he's inactive, well, I mean, that may mean one of 2 things, right? Well, first of all, it means you shouldn't play him. That's a bold strategy. But second of all, it means that maybe that the Raiders are, the backup kicker it could be garbage, and they're just going to go for it on every 4th down in the red zone or, whatever. So let's start out by talking about the Raiders. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's back. Thank God, because, he's so good at fantasy football. He's not. But you know what? On a single game of Showdown, every mother father is playable. So am I open to Jimmy G? Yes, I am. Because here's why. As I've already told you, the vast majority of people are going to play Lions tonight. And the 2 most common runbacks from the Raiders will certainly be, probably the top 4 will be Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Michael Myers. Okay, yes, I know his name's Michael Mayer, but it's the day before Halloween. Let me have my fun, dipshit. All right. So I think of those 4, you know who I didn't say? Jimmy Garoppolo. If you are willing to play that contrarian lifestyle, Jimmy Garoppolo will be one of the most leveraged players on the slate, and it's very rare that you ever get a quarterback leveraged on a slate because quarterbacks tend to just be higher played players on slates simply because of the guaranteed points. They have one little thing that nobody else has. They touch the ball every play. So Jimmy Garoppolo, totally playable. Almost any narrative you come up with, Jimmy Garoppolo could get there, right? If you think the Lions are going to blow him out, well, then maybe Garoppolo's just passing around and he gets his points in garbage time. If you think that the Raiders blow them out, well, he'll almost certainly have a good game. And if you think that this game is a shootout, well, then Garoppolo is going to have to do his part in helping the Raiders move the ball. I would say the only one that Garoppolo really doesn't play nicely with is probably like a sloggy type game, a 17-16 type game. But what are the chances that this game's going to be sloggy? I mean, they're playing at the field that's just magical for fantasy scoring, right? So don't instantly X off Jimmy Garoppolo. He is back, and I do think that he is actually going to be one of the few times you will ever get a quarterback high leveraged. From there, Josh Jacobs at 8,400 is just a laughable mispricing. Him and Gibbs are just laughably mispriced. They're both going to be wildly owned. Josh Jacobs has an incredible role. He's out on the field. You can see he's playing 77% of the snaps. He's getting a combined 23 touches a game. His over-under on rushing is 85, so Vegas thinks he's going to run wild tonight. He's getting 5 targets a game out of the backfield. If I'm playing cash, if you're building a cash lineup and it doesn't have Jacobs and Gibbs in it, you're not even trying, pal. Josh Jacobs has an incredible floor. Now, there is always the path that maybe, he hasn't been very efficient this year. The Raiders have sucked. But, man, he's almost game script proofed in the same way that Jahmyr Gibbs is game script proof. He just, if they get ahead, if they get behind, if it's competitive, you're going to see all the Josh Jacobs. If you want to punt, I guess, like Zamir White and Amir Abdullah do get the scraps that he leaves over. I would probably lean Amir Abdullah because he's $200, but because he's $200, that will make him wildly more popular than Zamir White. So maybe Zamir White is the play there. We saw that just the other night with, I told you to not be afraid to pay up for, who the hell was we had the wide receiver the other night. Oh, it was a 2-pack shaker for the Bills, right? I said no one is going to pay him because he is the pay-up option, and it ended up being that he was the best of those third wide receiver for the Bills, and because you had to pay up, nobody played him, right? I think he ended up winning GPPs. Getting over to receivers, Devontae Adams just has not been himself this year. Matter of fact, if you ask me who is the number 1 wide receiver for the Raiders, I would say it's Jacoby Myers, okay? And you know what? If we're going to stick with the Michael Myers theme, you better watch out because unless the Detroit Lions are Laurie Strode, it's going to be a big night for Myers. So Jacoby Myers is still at 8,200. I think he's underpriced, but Devontae Adams at 10,800 is definitely overpriced, and he is just due for that big game. I think that he is a guy that you will probably get a lot of leverage on. Him and a Garoppolo stack is not going to be near as popular as it could be for a game that is likely to have some big passes down the field in mint conditions. I still believe that Hunter Renfrow has a life, but then when you watch the games, you're like, this guy sucks. He's never on the field. When he is, he looks old and dusty. I think, it's not there. It is really hard to play a third wide receiver for the Raiders. One of them might get a catch, might do something well, but if I'm punting at wide receiver, I like the Lions options way more. Tight end, as I already told you, Michael Mayer, way underpriced. A guy who's, you just see his usage going up every week. His routes run go up every week. His targets go up every week. He to me, is just an absolute smash play tonight. But at DFS, when somebody has a smash play, you got to realize we're not the only ones that see that he is a smash play, right? And he is going to be wildly popular. I would bet he gets up over 30 or 40% owned. And anytime a tight end is chalky, how many times do I got to tell you this? I'm always warm to fading a chalky tight end simply because they have a greater, the disparity of outcomes for tight ends is massive compared to other positions. If you want to punt, Austin Hooper is on the field a lot. I think I actually would like Austin Hooper as a punt than any of those third wide receivers. We're watching Daniel Carlson's injuries, and the Raiders defense, no one is going to play them. They'll be like 5% owned. And on a showdown slate, you never know. Jared Goff can be a dumbass and can throw the ball to the other team, right? Moving on to Detroit, Jared Goff, $10,400. My opinion is a little overpriced. He is a guy that offers basically nothing with his legs, and he's going to, for him to pay off that $10,400, he's almost certainly going to need something like 250 plus passing yards and probably 2 touchdowns. Not saying he won't do that. Matter of fact, I would say it's probably at least a 50% proposition. But at $10,400, there is a path to fading him, and some of the Lions still getting there, right? Especially if like all the usage, say Amon-Ra plays and he gets 10 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown, but that's basically all of the usage. Well, then he could get there and Jared Goff couldn't, right? Now, could Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra and Laporta all get there without Goff? I guess they could, but it ain't very likely, Bob. That's what I would say. So Jared Goff only needs to be played if he fits your narrative, right? I think Jared Goff is in a shootout is almost a must play. If you think that the Lions are going to blow them out and they're going to be passing all over the field, well, then Jared Goff probably is one. If you think they're going to get behind and Jared Goff's going to have to bring him back, he would also probably be a must play. But I think that if it's a sloggy game, you can certainly fade him. If you think Detroit runs the ball down the Raiders' throat, gets ahead and plays conservative, then he is certainly a fade, right? At running back, Jahmyr Gibbs is just going to be massive chalk. I'd be shocked if he's not the most highly owned guy on this slate. He is explosive. He is in a team that's going to be playing from ahead. Even if they somehow get behind, he is going to be involved. If this game shoots out, he will be involved. He's basically game script proof. He catches the ball. He runs the ball. He's out on the field now that David Montgomery is out, and he is going to be wildly popular. But please let me just at least give you a counter narrative to that. Craig Reynolds is going to be forgotten about tonight. And I know you're going to go look at the last game where David Montgomery was out, and you're going to see Jahmyr Gibbs got about 80% of the run out of the backfield. But you got to remember that Detroit got behind in that game, and they were trying to play catch-up. In a game where they're ahead, I think that you will see it be more like 70-30, maybe even 60-40 Gibbs over Reynolds, and Reynolds could possibly get the goal line carries, and Craig Reynolds could possibly get those 10 to 12 carries and could be a valuable play, especially if he falls in the box, right? So if you have a narrative that the Lions are going to get ahead, I want you to consider one of two things: playing Reynolds over Gibbs or playing Reynolds with Gibbs. Because if the Lions are going to win this game 28-7, I think that Gibbs and Reynolds could both get there. Moving over to wide receiver, we just got that Amon-Ra news is going to have us all by the nutsack all the way up until we get official word if he's playing or not. If Amon-Ra plays, I think it really waters down the usage of the other Lions pass catchers, right? Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, Jameson Williams all are all pretty marginal plays in my opinion, especially at those price tags with Amon-Ra, the usage monster, being active. But if he is limited or he is out, guys like Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, and Jameson Williams explode off the page as tremendous value plays. So you got to be watching that news. If you're trying to make your lineup and you're not checking the Amon-Ra stuff 90 minutes before kick, just know you're going into this, you have no chance. No chance. You got to be sweating it, right? You got to be a sweaty tryhard to find any success at DFS. Lastly, tight end, Laporta. Sam Laporta is an absolute stud muffin. He's on the field. He gets targets. He gets valuable targets. He's everything you want. And at 7,400, I actually think that he is going to be lower owned, right? He is legit almost twice the price of Michael Myers, right? And I know that it's Halloween, but Sam Don't give a shit, all right? He is the best tight end on this slate, and because he is slightly overpriced relative to the other tight ends, I think you're actually going to get him at reasonable ownership. I think he'll be more in that 20% range, and with a guy with his upside, I mean, he has like legit George Kittle type upside. I think he's very valuable. If you're playing a Lions onslaught, I think you always want to consider Brock Wright. Just gets his 1 catch, 2 yards, and a touchdown. That's always viable. And, of course, with the Lions being a pretty big favorite and being at home, I think that both Riley Patterson and the Lions defense are both very, very viable. But once again, it's got to fit your narrative. As I already told you, the most common builds tonight will be a Lions win this game comfortably, something like, 24-17 type game, 27-20 type game, and, maybe even more than that. Maybe more like 27-17, and they're going to be 4-2 Lions builds and 5-1 Lions builds with a Lion at the captain. Those are going to be the most common builds tonight. So if you're not filling that build, well, this could be a great night to get in there and construct your roster different. Not go play fucking Trey Tucker and slapdicks, but just simply construct your roster different. That is a way to compete at Showdown without just having to be like the guy that pulls a shamrock out of his ass because DeAndre Carter gets an end around for 80 yards, okay? So let's get over to the drawing. By the way, 76 likes, 145 people in here. Get me up to 100 likes, you sweaty tryhards. We're going to get to the drawing. Before we do, come check out my site, djn75.com. I'm telling you, there's got to be a place where you can get everything you need for DFS and not be price gouged. I see some people play $20 a month in DFS and they pay over $100 a month for a package. Bro, you don't need all that. There's got to be a place where you can get content and tools and projections, the 3 things you need to be successful at DFS, and do it at a reasonable price. And that's what I do over at my site. I encourage you to come check it out. I have packages as low as $5. It's not about me. You'll never see me flexing on wins. Yes, it's all about members of my community. I can't wait to see the new collage with a couple $100,000 winners on there. This is still the one from last week with 3 $20,000 winners on there and 12 GPP winners. It's just awesome. I'm helping people find a process. They're building their own process. They don't need my picks. They don't need me to hold their hand. They just need a little guidance, and then they're like little birds, little doves that go win. And I put this up here every week, a new collage. I'm just a little site, and look at all these people flying the flag, having all this success. It can't be an accident. And, of course, I have the Rosetta Stone, the best tool out there, where you don't have hours to sweat all this, so I put all the relevant information you need in there in one place where you can go reference it and get everything you need. If you want to try the site out, simply sign up for my newsletter, which is in the description of this video. Let support DJN75 on Twitter know, and they'll get you hooked up. Don't forget, me and Tambo are having a meetup at the Waste Management in February. Start planning now to be there and come meet up. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of shit. All right, editor, I see 88 likes. Let's go ahead and draw the first name, and then once we get to 100 likes, which I know you motherfuckers will get me to 100 likes, we will draw another one. While he does that, I'm going to take a swig of the cold brew, and then I'm going to start answering questions, and then I'm going to get the hell out of here because I got to go record my retrospective. I had another good week at DFS. Did you see me flexing on Twitter? No, because that's for slapdicks. I don't want people joining my site because I win at DFS. That shit's predatory, right? That shit's predatory. It's like, hey, look at me, I'm rich. You want to be rich? I hate that. I really do. I'm just going to die on that hill, okay? The first one is Matt Slavka. Matt, I want to say, I'm just going to call you Matt Slovakia. There you go. Matt, reach out to me. We will build a lineup together in the big $500,000 maker tonight. On me, we'll split it 50-50. All right, I'm up to 91 likes. Get me up to 100 while I go answer these questions. You motherfathers. All right, Matt. Oh, look at that. First question I do from the winner, Jimmy G. Have any tendencies over scrub backups that we should be aware of? Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah. So now that Jimmy G's back, well, don't forget, when Jimmy G was active, Jacoby Myers was definitely his favorite target, and Devontae Adams was his second favorite target, and the other guys don't exist, right? I mean, I guess Michael Mayer wasn't playing as much back then, but he was getting a few targets, but like Renfro, Tucker, Carter, guys like that, he wasn't targeting any of them. Great question. New guy, old guy in the back, lunch with Dejan. Yeah, hit the like, Nick says. I like that, Nick. All right. Are we going to get a shootout in prime time? If I had to pick my favorite one bill, I would probably say this does feel like it will be a shootout. I truly think the Raiders are going to come to play tonight, but you also have to remember, I basically say this every slate, right? Like every slate where there's a team that's more than a touchdown underdog, what do I always say? Give me the underdog. I was harping against this against the Bills a few weeks ago when they were playing the Giants. Last week with the Vikings over the 49ers, it's just how I like to think. People overreact to Vegas Vegas lines. This is a single game of Showdown, and a single NFL game. Anything can happen. So if I can get 70% of all the lineups to be leaning towards Detroit, well, then I'll just go with the Raiders, right? That is something I commit to. And if I'm right, let's just say I'm right 50% of the time, but 50% of the time I'm getting leverage on 70% of the field, well, in the long term, that's a really good play, isn't it? That's why I just commit to that contrarian lifestyle. And I think the Raiders do have the pieces to be successful. What's up, motherfather? Hey, what's up with you, motherfather? Yeah, I hate to hear about Kirk Cousins' Achilles injury. As a guy that's, pushing damn near 40, like that stuff about tearing your Achilles, it just freaks me out. That's such a serious thing. I hate it. Motherfather's going to rope me into NASCAR? Dude, NASCAR's fun, Nick. You're going to enjoy it. Plus, it's perfect. We'll get all of our PGA lineups in Sunday, be watching golf Sunday morning, and then we'll go do all of our NASCAR lineups, and we'll win all the money at 2 Sports Sunday afternoon. Brett says, auto lock Michael Myers on the line. Yeah, I think that's a great narrative, Brett. Unless we find out that there is somebody on the Lions defense named Strode, related to Lori, then I think we got to watch out. We got to watch out. I'm finally going to get a ticket with you today. Doesn't look like it. Well, if we're at 98 likes, Apollo, so maybe, brother, maybe. Eric, Madajavec. Jimmy Beck, does that make Myers a lock? Michael Myers on Halloween? I'm in, guys. I'm in on that narrative. I created that narrative before it was cool. Other people, I've seen other shows copying my shit. I came up with that like 2 or 3 weeks ago. What Lions team shows up tonight? The one that got boat raced by the Ravens or the one that beat the Chiefs? I think that the Lions at home are probably going to play well tonight, but I still think the Raiders are going to be competitive. The Lions are a good football team. They really are. They're going to make the playoffs. Is fading Devontae and Sun God viable? Oh, definitely. The funny thing is, Viking Nomad, I think that will actually be more common than you think, right? With Amon-Ra being banged up, possibly limited, or hell, maybe even out. We don't know what's going to happen. And Devontae just not delivering this year. I actually think that those guys are not only I think that that's going to be a very popular move, fading those guys. So if you think you're getting cute fading those guys, I think you're overthinking it. I think that those guys are going to be wildly under-owned versus the upside they offer is probably 2 of the 10 best wide receivers in the NFL. How's the guy in the back? Sleeping. I only wake him up on Wednesdays for the PGA stream. Sit the hell down. All right. Is a 3-3 a common build? Mike, a 3-3 is always a common build, always. No matter the slate. That's just what most people tend to do because most people, I would say at least 50% of people give no thought to the number of guys from each team in their lineups. You don't know how many just knuckle trackers are out there. What's your favorite viable captain for tonight's slate? Probably my favorite would probably be Josh Jacobs. I just feel like he's kind of game script proofed. He's due for a big game, and as I've just said, this is my narrative. Please don't follow my narratives because I don't give a shit who you play or how you play. I just want you to not be a dumbass. But if I am going to play that the Raiders are I'm going to lean into the Raiders being underdogs and being under-owned and undervalued tonight. I'm probably going to lean with a Raider at captain. That's just how I play. That's my process. It doesn't need to be yours. Is Gibbs' GPP captain leverage higher than Goff's? Julian, the stone's out over on the website. Go look at it. I don't know. Cheapest captain you would go. What a good question from Lone Star Randy. I imagine he's from Kansas. Let's see. The cheapest captain I would play. I think I could get on board with. I think, I don't really want to punt at captain tonight, so probably Laporta would probably be the cheapest one. I think people are going to play Michael Myers at captain. I don't want to go that low. I just don't see, with the soft-ass pricing of this slate, I just don't see a lot of need to punt at captain tonight. So I'm going to pay up at captain, but once again, that's my process. Doesn't need to be yours. JRK, anyone worth a look under 2K? Yeah, I'm down with one of these Raiders running backs kind of getting there. I think Austin Hooper is worth a look. And I think Brock Wright. I think those are some to consider. But, yeah, I don't really love any of them. Oh, and Lone Star Randy, just back to your cheapest captain. If you're a real fucking sicko, maybe consider Craig Reynolds. That's not for me, but he would be a viable one, I would think. What's up, everyone? The telescope's in the house. Is there a night where oh, shit, editor, we're at 105 likes. Go draw me another one. Eric, the guy with the crazy name, Madajavec. There you go. Eric, reach out to me on Twitters or on the Discord, you motherfucker. All right, let's see. Is it a night where the running backs could be more viable than pass catchers? Absolutely, Chris, but you got to remember, you're not the only person that's going to realize that the running backs are underpriced relative to their value tonight, so I think the running backs are going to be very popular. Just know that when you're building your lineup. In your process, how do you go about cutting down the roster size prior to picking your player pool? Do you just automatically eliminate all the sub 1,000 guys? No, I go build my narratives, then I build a player pool around those narratives, and then I start trying to axe any guys if I feel like I have too many players in it. Devontae, 3 touchdowns tonight? I mean, I guess it could happen. I wouldn't bet on that. Is Laporta captain viable? Yes, definitely. Sarah Myers in the house. Michael's sister, shootout narrative viable tonight? Yes. But, yeah, and look, here's why I like that, Sarah, is if you do that and you somehow can build without getting the running backs from either team in, that is going to be a build that not very many people would have. If you want to build a 3-3 lineup tonight, the one way you could do it and be very different is don't have Josh Jacobs or Jahmyr Gibbs in it. That would be really, really different than everybody else. Is Gibbs at captain going to be popular? Wildly popular. Will Detroit double Devontae and force Jimmy G to beat him another way? No, I don't think so. I think that Devontae just isn't what he used to be, and I think that they're going to probably play straight up defense. I would say him and Jacoby Myers are 50-50 on who's going to have the better game. I will say Jimmy G has really enjoyed throwing the ball to Jacoby Myers this year. Any defense at captain? I mean, I'll say this, Zach, that is a very contrarian build, and I think that if you want to go that route, it will get you very, very much different than everybody else. But it has to fit your narrative. It doesn't fit the narrative I'm running with. Most popular will be 3-3. I actually think that 4-2 Detroit's will be slightly more popular, but they will both be very common. Listen to Ship It Nation last night. Took one of my guys' advice and shit the bet 50-50 shot and went with the loser. It happens, Joseph. It happens, man. Feels like a shootout, but Las Vegas 26th in pace. Looks like, but they're 26th in pace whenever they're not really far behind. If they get behind or the Lions are pushing the pace of this game, you will likely see that be picked up. The telescope says questions about projections in the stone versus the solver. The stone gives us an average and ceiling projections. Which of these numbers do you use for the solver? Yeah, so that's a great question. I like to go right here on optimize by, and I like to use 50% projections, 50% ceilings. That's how I do it, telescope. What's for lunch today? I'm actually thinking about just going one meal because I'm really craving like a fat kid pizza with some hot honey on it. I don't know what's going on with me, Snoopaloop. That's not my style, but I'm kind of craving a fat kid meal, and if I'm going to eat something that disgusting, you best believe I'm only eating one meal today. Is Davante Adams captain or pass tonight? I think that both of those are very viable. I think there's definitely a path to fading Davante Adams, and I think that he is probably the most leveraged captain on the slate, as I just don't think he's going to be very owned. Is Mayer captain viable? Here would be my question, Jonah. Do you need the price savings? Does putting him at captain get you on some studs that you would otherwise not be able to afford? Are you simply just spending the money on those good players because you have a cheap guy at the captain? I think he is going to be over-owned at captain tonight versus how often he would get there at captain. That would be my counter argument, Jonah. Lions D against the run has been pretty sound. Would you fade Jacobs yeah, well, you got to remember Jacobs also gets it done pass catching. That's why I wouldn't read too much into that, and the guy's always on the field. Do you think this Davante Adams ceiling game, he's due for one? Internet stress. And the solver, do your rules change game to game or script to script? No. I don't do a ton of rules on Mr. Slovakia on my Showdown slates. I do most of my rules on the solver for main slates because, I'm trying to get correlations between games and worrying about stacks and stuff like that. I don't worry as much about that at Showdown. My rules for Showdown are actually pretty simple. If you only make 3 lineups in a week, is it worth it? Yeah, I think so. To me, I only build one for college football, my cash lineup, and I use the solver to kind of get an idea for what is the optimal lineup. I go build like 6 or 7 of them and see what it's spitting out to see the different variations to kind of help me zone in on what is the best cash lineup or what is my best single entry lineup. I think it's worth it, Detox. But I'll just tell you this: literally hundreds and hundreds of people have signed up for it using my code, and no one ever cancels. So clearly, you don't realize how great it is until you do it. You don't know what you don't know, so to speak. Oh shit, we might get up to 150 likes. I see 162 people. Oh, 165. Let's get up to 169. Nice. All right, in your single entry 3 max, do you force low-owned players into your lineup? No, I do not. I never force anything. I kind of build a bunch of them and then go pick the ones I like. That's what I like to do. On the Raiders 4-2 build, does it make sense to make Gibbs and St. Brown 2 Lions to capture the most of their offense? Yes. Look, if you want to run a 4-2 Raiders and run it back, Gibbs and St. Brown, yes, they will be chalky pieces, but they use up so much of the usage that because you built a 4-2 Raiders, that's an example of how you can get good players in your lineup without having to, punt, right? You could build that, but you're using 2 chalky pieces in Amon-Ra Gibbs, but you're using them in a way that other people aren't, Steven. I like that. Tucker for a sleeper. He would probably be my favorite Raider sleeper, but Jesus, man, you're really punting. But you know what? If you're playing in the big field GPPs, you got to punt, right? Think Amon-Ra plays tonight? I do, but probably only about 60-40, right? Which is quite a bit lower than I would have thought. Will a 5-1 Raiders build be with a Detroit captain be different? Yeah, Nick, don't ask silly questions. Best captain tonight? Give me Josh Jacobs. Double tight end night? Yeah, I think so. Bill, it's always a double tight end night for you, though. Amon-Ra questionable with the flu. I mean, look, that tells me that even if he plays, people will buy the flu narrative, right? But how do we know he's not Michael Jordan? He's going to play his best game. Not only is tomorrow Halloween, but Maction is back. Oh, shit. We kill Maction. 2 running backs, 2 tight end build tonight. I like that, but, that I will tell you this, David. Running backs and tight ends are going to be very, very popular tonight. I take that back. Maybe Laporta won't be, but Myers, Jacobs, and Gibbs are all going to be very, 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 very popular. So just know you're going to get yourself into the same narrow build that a lot of lineups are going to be in. You think Jacoby Myers will be under-owned as captain? I do, Steven. I think that he will probably be under-owned versus the upside that he offers. Look at the stone. I'm pretty sure he'll be a positive leverage play in the captain spot. What's the weather looking like? It's looking like they're in a dome, pal. Oliver says Josh Reynolds at captain if the sun god's out. Definitely. If we get word that Amon-Ra is either out or limited, I think that Josh Reynolds is the guy that benefits the most. I think he'll get more of those red zone targets. Which, let's face it, on Showdown you need your guys to get a touchdown, right? Will Michael Myers break the slate since it's Halloween? Already told you I love the narrative. Triple tight end tonight, 2 from one team. Yeah, let's see. I think you could get away with that. Give me Myers, Hooper, Laporta. Yeah, I think that's definitely a weird build. I kind of like it. To be honest. Let's see. St. John a decoy if he plays. Amon-Ra, St. Ra, a decoy if he plays. Could be. But he could also break the slate because he's really, really good at football. Do the Raiders' defensive secondaries have capability of holding Detroit low own goal? I mean, we haven't seen much from Detroit's defense to make you think they can stop anything, right? Let's see. Getting back. The chat's jumping on me. What the fuck? All right. St. Brown's playing. We don't know. I would lean towards he plays, but we don't know. Chemtrail guys here. All right, just don't get political or I'll boot your ass, you motherfather. You doing context on XFIN and trucking racing too? No, just going to do the main NASCAR, man. Look, NASCAR's already niche, and now you want me to get niche within the niche? Yeah, I just ain't going to do that, bro. Sorry. 4-2 Halloween build with Myers. I don't mind it. Do you favor kickers when the game's inside? I do like kickers a little bit more on indoor games, right? Because, less wind they just make field goals at a higher rate indoors, and I think coaches are more likely to kick when they're indoors. Let's see. Myers, chalky run back as a Lions onslaught script. Yes, definitely. If you want Jacoby Myers to be your one run back, I think that makes sense, Ryan. Let's see. Interstress says, yeah, I play both. Okay, fucking quit talking. Monday Night Football stream on PGA week. Let's go. That's right. Big week of PGA coming up. You best believe. I got to go make this. Actually, I probably won't do the model till tomorrow. Is the price on your site for the solver just for 1 month? Oh yeah, so the solver is a separate site, guys. When you sign up on my site, that's just to get things like the Rosetta Stone, get on the Discord, get my videos that I do behind the paywall. The solver is a different thing. The solver is the solver, right? They're not. I don't own the solver. They're just a partnership I have that I run my stats through. So that is a different charge. That's why you can do just the solver and get my projections and points. But if you want the Rosetta Stone and you want the content that I do, the streams that I do behind the paywall, that is a separate thing over at DGen75. Okay. What's up, new guys? Catching the tail end of the stream for once. Sorry, it's been asked. How much will the fourth-string wide receivers play for Detroit with Amon-Ra? Yeah, I mean, if Amon-Ra's out, I think that those wide receivers, specifically guys like Khalif and Jamison Williams and Reynolds, are the big three that I think all get a big boost. Max Brozzi going to eat tonight? Probably. That guy's an animal. Cash viable tonight? I think so, Chris. I think for cash tonight, probably give me both of the running backs. I think probably Jacoby Myers. And if we get word that Amon-Ra is, probably Michael Mayer too. I think it's very viable tonight. I wouldn't mind cash tonight. Let's see. Sorry for late due to meeting. Who the fuck set up meetings during lunch? Yeah, who are these people, K-Peg? Get out of here, people. Having meetings. Is Jared Goff good at golf? I doubt it. That guy's kind of, I don't know. Some quarterbacks are sneaky good at golf. All right, we got up to 169 people in here. Nice. All right, we got 122 likes. I appreciate all you guys. We will be back tomorrow, me and Tambo breaking this down. So plan on being here at noon tomorrow as we start previewing week 9 and getting the juices flowing, talking about our big wins and stuff like that and all the things that could have been. But I got to go right now. I've got to go make my retrospective over for my website, recounting my week, because I don't do it on Twitter because I've touched a woman before. All right, guys, I will be seeing you tomorrow. Enjoy your day. Kick some ass tonight. If you hit something big, let me know. But for right now, I need you to enjoy this outro.